Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day, your week, and your weekend have been going very well so far. NFL Week 7 is officially upon us, and with that comes another edition of Sunday Night Football. For this week's showdown, we have the Atlanta Falcons going on the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers in an NFC battle. That should be a good one. And as always, guys, I've got some really great picks to go ahead and share with you. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day and a new week of NFL football comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 picks to go and share with you guys. In today's video, I have a spread pick, I have a team total over pick, and I have 2 player props, including our final pick of the video, which every single week for our Sunday Night Football picks videos is our anytime touchdown player prop giveaway contest. And yes, I've been trying to think of a shorter way to do that. Haven't come up with one since, but every single week here on the Sunday Night Football picks video series, I like to do a little touchdown giveaway contest. The rules are very simple. At the end of every video, I hand out an anytime touchdown player prop. All you guys have to do is comment the name of the player that I give out, and if that player scores a touchdown, one lucky commenter will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. We've actually cashed the anytime touchdown player prop in 2 consecutive weeks. We had Ramondre Stevenson in the Patriots-Bills game 2 weeks ago, and then last week we had Xavier Worthy anytime touchdown. So going ahead and switch my screen here real quick. Shout out to the winner of last week's touchdown giveaway contest, Mr. Hustle 3000. He commented, Xavier Worthy, another solid pick. You picked the comment below mine for last week's giveaway. Had to go ahead and give you the winner for this week. So go ahead and DM me on Instagram at Tassos Picks. That's at TASOS Picks. And we'll go ahead and get you your free Amazon gift card. So 2 people have won back-to-back weeks. You could be the lucky winner this week. Again, stick around to the end of the video for me to go ahead and give out that anytime touchdown player prop and comment the name of that player. And don't worry, guys, if you miss any picks, all the final plays will be down below in the pinned comment, as well as the GuyBostonSports.com website, so you guys can make it easier to follow along. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk some football here. Falcons Niners 8:20 p.m. kickoff tonight, and a bit of a weird game here. Atlanta's a team that's been pretty solid, but have had their weak spots, primarily that 30-0 loss to Carolina a few weeks back, and the Niners have been playing pretty well, but they have the worst injury luck in NFL history, probably. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan made a deal with the devil. There's some dark magic going on here, but every year the Niners have a year from hell, and this year is no different. The injuries are piling up. I love the Falcons in this spot, guys, and I'm not sure if I should love them in this spot because they feel so obvious, but I am taking for my first pick in today's video. I think I said spread pick off the top. I actually don't have a spread pick. I'm going money line here. Falcons money line, which I'm grabbing for best odds available to me, plus 120 over on Novig. Guys, there are just so many signals pointing to Atlanta in this spot. Let's start off with the most obvious one, the 49ers injury list. Like I just talked about, the injuries for San Francisco, they are piling up. We'll go over here. You're guys are going to be shocked by this list of injuries. All right, now obviously Brandon Ayuk, he hasn't played yet this year. He's still out. Nick Bosa, out for the season. Keep going down. Your Turgros Matos, he's out. That's actually a pretty big one. Ricky Purcell, out. Brock Purdy, out. Cornerback Jacob Robinson, out. Keep going down here through the list. It's pretty bad. Fred Warner now, add him to the injury list, out for the season. And the list goes on and on and on. And even some of the guys who are playing, like Mac Jones, like Juwan Jennings, those guys are still hurt, not playing 100%. The Niners, I feel for you guys. The injuries you guys have had, it's been unbelievable. You're not just losing players, you're losing the most important players on the team. Now, they do get George Kittle back this week, which is something. But it's hard to ignore the injuries play a big role here. And look, great teams like the Niners who are well coached, they can overcome them as they have so far this year. They're 4-2, playing very well. But there just comes a point where you can only overcome so much loss. Their defense is banged up with some key players, Bosa, Gross Matos, Fred Warner. Really bad. And on the offensive side, still, they're losing 2 of their best wide receivers. Oh, Ricky Purcell's out this game too. I mean, it's really bad for them. Now, beyond just the injuries, there are in-game factors that also hurt the 49ers in this spot. We're going to jump over to the dashboard here over on GuyBostonSports.com. One key thing I saw when doing the research for this game is a clear mismatch for the Niners and the Falcons. The way to take down Michael Penix this year has been pressure, putting pressure on him. You look at the numbers on the left side of the screen here. Michael Penix versus pressure this year, you see the yards per attempt drop to 6.3. His completion percentage drops to 50%. His DVOA negative 39.8%. His EPA negative 5.2. Comparative to all of his other numbers versus zone, versus man, versus blitz, versus pressure is where he has struggled the most. Well, guess what? The Niners this year, the frequency rate at which they pressure is the second lowest in the NFL this year. This team does not bring pressure. A large part of that obviously is due to injuries, but as the injuries continue to pile up, they're going to put even less pressure on the opposing quarterback. That's a problem here because Michael Penix, unless you're putting pressure on him, he has been very good this year. Also, to add to that, the 49ers run the 6th most zone in terms of frequency rate, right? 60% frequency of zone defense. They are a zone-heavy team. Well, guess what? Michael Penix versus zone has been pretty phenomenal this year. Very large sample size as well. 19.8 attempts per game this year against zone. 136.3 passing yards per game against zone. 65.8% completion percentage. His yards per attempt do drop a little bit. And the interception percentage is basically the same number. A couple numbers you see in the red, but overall, he's been very efficient against zone. And if we scroll down below here, overall, the Niners defense, it's just been a struggle, and it's only going to get worse. These numbers are only as good as they are because they did have, at one point this year, Bosa and Warner and Gross Matos. Those guys all being out. Now, Gross Matos is not a season-ending injury, but he's still out this week. They're all piling up. The defense is only going to get worse. They right now rank 22nd in the NFL in terms of DVOA, in terms of defense, right? 23rd against the pass, 19th against the run. With Fred Warner especially being out, that run defense is going to get worse. The pass defense is not going to get better. They don't really have much of a pass rush right now. It's really looking rough for the 49ers here. And also, to continue kind of crap on the Niners here, sorry Niners fans, look away. You're facing a Falcons defense that honestly has been one of the most impressive units in the league. I did not see Atlanta's defense being this good. I figured they'd be better from last year, but they have been incredible. Going back down to those DVOA numbers down below here for Atlanta, they right now, through 6 weeks of play, have the number one ranked defense in terms of DVOA in the National Football League, the best pass defense in the league, and they are still solid against the run with the 12th DVOA run defense ranked. This is a very strong defense. And they have been putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Look at their pressure rate and frequency rate, and blitz frequency rate. They blitz at the second highest frequency in the NFL. They like to bring the heat. And in terms of pressure, 6th highest frequency in the NFL. This team puts pressure. The Niners' offensive line is not bad, but they obviously haven't been as great as they have been as years past. And you've got an injured Mac Jones behind center. Brock Purdy at least can move around, extend plays, do some things. Mac Jones, when 100% healthy, is a statue. When he's playing limited and hurt, not very good when you're facing off against a team with this kind of a pass rush. A lot of things going against the Niners here. They haven't been a great running team. Despite the fact that McCaffrey has played and gotten good volume, their rushing offense hasn't been great, and that's sort of the one weaker area the Falcons have defensively. But even still, I don't see them gashing them in the running game. Also, throwing the football they're gonna have a really hard time versus this Falcons defense. 5th in turnovers forced, 7th in sacks, tied for 9th in QB hits. Very efficient on third down. Don't give up many first downs in general. Top 10 scoring defense. Whatever metric you want to use, the Falcons defense can stop the Niners. And on the flip side, the Niners have their hands full. Now, the Falcons scoring offense, they haven't really been that high. 28th in the NFL in terms of points per game this year. It's a little low considering their offense actually has been pretty solid. The number one rushing offense in the NFL, averaging 151 rushing yards per game. Again, with Fred Warner being out, he's huge to stopping the run. Him being out, the Falcons should get what they want here on the ground. The Niners overall, again, 19th in terms of DVOA this year in terms of their run defense. That's only going to get worse with the injuries. They're right now 14th in the NFL in terms of rushing yards allowed per game. That average is going to increase, I'm telling you. And their pass defense hasn't been great either. So Atlanta trending in the right direction. They're coming off of 2 really strong wins here. They beat the Commanders, granted. Washington did not have Jaden Daniels in that game. It was Marcus Mariota, so take that one with a grain of salt, I guess. But they beat Washington, go on the bye, come off the bye, and then they beat Buffalo last Monday night primetime game, and then just beat them. They dominated them in that game. Really, if you take the Carolina loss out of the sample, they've been pretty solid. Dominant win over the Vikings, solid win over the Commanders, dominant win over the Bills, and they lost to Tampa Bay, who, by the way, is 5-1 right now, so that loss has aged pretty well. They lost to Tampa Bay by a field goal in a game where Younghoe Koo missed a potential game-tying field goal to send that game to overtime. He makes that kick. We could be looking at a 4-1 Falcons team the Carolina loss is inexcusable. I don't really know what happened there. I can't really defend it. But all of this to say, guys, Atlanta is a really good pick in this spot. They've been battle tested. They played some good teams. Look at strength of schedule here in terms of record. The Falcons, number 1 in the NFL. They have played a tough schedule. Buffalo, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington. Now, granted, this number is just taking the total win, the records of all the teams they played and combining them. So if we actually look at like the toughest schedules, I think like the Eagles have played a tough schedule, the Chiefs have played a tough schedule, Baltimore's played a tough schedule, but the Falcons have been tested this year. In one final point to crap on the Niners, again, sorry Niners fans, look away, is the insight provided by Outlier. The Niners are 3-6 straight up in their last 9 games at home. It has not been good. This goes back to last season. A lot of losses at home. And you look at the teams they've beaten, Arizona this year, the Bears last year, the Cowboys last year. The wins they do have at home are against unimpressive teams when they played the Detroits, the Rams, Seattle, the Chiefs, even the Cardinals last year. They've lost to some of the bigger spots. So I just don't think it's a good spot. The only thing that scares me, well, 2 things. First and foremost, the Falcons short rest, obviously big emotional primetime win over the Bills. Short rest, now have to come home. Another primetime game, take on a Niners team that is feisty and incredibly well coached. You do have that going for you. You also have the fact that I just think this is such a public play. The public's going to be all over Atlanta. With the fact they're 2.5-point underdogs in this spot, considering everything the Niners are going through, I know they're on the road and the Niners are 4-2, but it's a bit strange to me because Atlanta has been trending in the right direction the last several weeks. Those are the 2 factors that scare me a little bit. It's very public heavy, and the fact the Falcons, short rest, and obviously big time win last week. They could get in their own heads. We'll see, but I think Atlanta is the clear play. So Falcons money line plus 120. And guys, I know I spent a lot of time on that last pick here, but it's because moving to the second pick, I don't have to spend as much time here because I've kind of explained my position in this game. My second pick being Falcons team total over 22.5 points, which I'm grabbing for minus 122 over on DraftKings. Now, they've only cashed it in 2 of 5 games this year. Again, they are bottom 5 in terms of points per game, averaging 20 points per game. A big reason for that is the fact that they only scored 0 versus Carolina, or only 0. They didn't score at all versus Carolina. But the last 2 games they've cashed it, and even the first 2 games, they didn't miss it by much. 20 points versus the Bucs. And again, if Younghoe who makes that kick, this line cashes. And then 22 points versus Minnesota, they missed it by 1 point in that game. So they've been hovering on this line all year long. They've either cashed it or missed it very close. Again, taking the Panthers game out of it, but like I've already mentioned, for all the reasons we talked about, I think Atlanta should be able to score 23 points in this game. The 49ers defense is banged up. They're going to struggle here. Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix, all those guys in Atlanta, they should have big days in this matchup here. So I like this spot. And the Niners defense this year, if you look at some of the last teams they played, 3 straight teams in a row have scored at least 23 points on the Niners. Tampa had 30 last week. The Rams 23 the week before. The Jaguars 26. So you have seen 3 consecutive games the Niners give up at least 23 points. You look at some of those offenses, you can say right now that Atlanta's offense is at least on the level of the Rams, I would say. Like the way they've been passing the ball, the way Bijan Robinson has been playing, they're definitely better than the Jaguars offense. So if the Jaguars can score 26 on the Niners, and that was when they still had Fred Warner and Brock Purdy played in that game, I think if they can score 26, for 23 from Atlanta should not be that crazy. All right, guys, still got 2 picks left in the video, 2 player props now, but real quick, before we finish off with the player props, I want to talk to you guys very quickly about the sponsor of today's video, Novig. Guys, if you have not dabbled into peer-to-peer exchanges, you are absolutely missing out. Using Novig allows you to get unbeatable prices and lines on just about every game. Why is that? Because it is other users setting the lines. They're setting the odds. You are competing with other users, not the big-time books. Peer-to-peer is growing at a crazy rate. You don't want to be late to this, guys. Sign up for Novig today using the link in the description as well as the pinned comment, and you get a nice sign-up bonus of up to $50 as well. Check it out. It operates just like your normal sportsbook, just with better lines. And again, you saw my first pick was that Falcons money line play. Best odds available to me were Novig at plus 120. So make sure, guys, check out Novig. Again, link down below in the description or the pinned comment. Shout out to Novig for sponsoring today's video. Now let's finish off with our 2 player props. All right, guys, our first player prop and our 3rd pick overall in this video. I've kind of mentioned before, I think Bijan's going to have a big day. Going Bijan Robinson over 74.5 rushing yards, which I'm grabbing for minus 125 over on ESPN Bet. He has cashed this in 3 of 5 games this year, that of course being a 60% hit rate, averaging 96.8 rushing yards per game this year. And you do see one of those misses. He missed it by like 3 yards versus Carolina. Tampa Bay, the first game, he had a really rough day, but since then, a couple big games in there. 143 versus the Vikings, 170 last week versus the Bills. Bijan's been on one, guys, and again, considering the matchup with all the injuries and stuff with the Niners, in general, they have the 19th run DVOA defense. I think they should be able to have a big day on the ground. Atlanta obviously does run the ball at a very high rate, a 48% run rate, which is well above the league average. And obviously, Bijan is number one in terms of carries on this team. 83 carries on the year. That's a 52.2% run share. Tyler Algier does get a healthy amount of work, but Bijan dominates the run share here in Atlanta. So he's going to get plenty of touches. If you look at the numbers on the season, he's averaging 16.6 carries per game this year. He's had at least 12 carries in every single game. And in some of these bigger spots versus Minnesota, versus Buffalo, okay, 19 carries versus Buffalo, 22 versus Minnesota. Some of these bigger spots, some of these primetime spots, he has gotten more work. I think we're going to see a big game from him here considering the matchup. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry this year, which is obviously very good. Again, dominating the run share, at least a 43% run share in every game this season. So a lot of great numbers here. Looking down below at some other running backs versus the Niners, Rachaad White cashed his line with 65 yards. Travis Etienne had 124. Alvin Kamara had 99. The biggest question here is why do this and not do the rushing plus receiving yard combo, which obviously is a great number. Bijan Robinson's been great in the passing game this year. I totally get that. From a matchup standpoint, though, the Niners this year versus running backs, 21st in the NFL, giving up 91.5 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. In terms of receiving yards allowed to running backs, they actually have one of the top 10 best defenses in terms of allowing fewer receiving yards to running backs. Now, again, because of injuries, I'll say it for the 100th time this video, those numbers are going to get worse. I just feel like he's going to get in rushing yards, and what I would be concerned of here is the line for rushing plus receiving is like over 120 yards. If he gets like 80 yards rushing, which catches this line, but he only gets like 30 yards receiving, you could be cooked there. I think he's definitely getting somewhere in the ballpark of 80 yards in this game. He's going to get a healthy amount of touches. So I personally am just taking the rushing yards. You can go ahead and take rushing plus receiving. It's not a terrible bet, but the line obviously is very much elevated. And by the way, we have this insight provided by Outlier. Bijan Robinson has exceeded 79.5 rushing yards in 4 of his last 5 games on the road dating back to last year, averaging 104.4 rushing yards per game over his last 5 road games. Again, we're taking it at 74.5, so we're actually slicing an extra 5 yards off of this line. So really great number supporting this player prop, really strong player prop. And then our fourth and final pick in today's video, guys, is the Tyler Algier anytime touchdown bet, which I'm grabbing for plus 213 over on Novig. One more time, shout out to Novig, the sponsor of today's video. As I just showed you guys, obviously Bijan gets a lot of work, but you're going to be impressed with this one. First and foremost, by the way, he scored a touchdown in 3 of 5 games this year. So he's already cashed this prop 3 times, a 60% hit rate, averaging 0.6 touchdowns per game. Pretty good. There is a little EV plus value on there too, which obviously is good to see. The Niners overall, 2.5 touchdowns allowed per game. That is literally smack dab down the middle, 16th in the NFL. Versus running backs, 23rd, giving up at least 1 touchdown per game this year to running backs. That is bottom 10 in the league. And again, with the injuries, that should get worse and should be better for us. We already mentioned the Falcons do run the ball at a very high rate, well above league average. You're going to like this though. So from a rushing perspective, even though Bijan dominates the run share, he still has, Tyler Algier has a 33.3% run share with 53 carries through 5 games. That's an average of more than 10 carries per game. Pretty good, honestly. Just shy of 11 carries per game. So even though Bijan gets the majority of the work, they still use Algier quite a lot. So he gets a lot of carries, but this is the kicker. Red zone rushing attempts. Tyler Algier actually is number 1 in red zone carries with 12 this year. That's a 48% run share, 1 more than Bijan. So they basically are splitting Bijan and Algier in the end zone, or in the red zone, when it comes to red zone attempts. That's obviously key here. They are using Algier a lot when they get into the red zone, inside the 10-yard line. They do use Algier quite a bit. Bijan's touchdown player prop, I want to say, is something like minus 200. You're getting Algier's at plus 213 on Novig for a guy who gets technically more red zone carries than Bijan and still has, in general, a 33.3% run share. He's cashed in 3 games this year. Look at Rachaad White had a touchdown for Tampa last week. Sean Tucker, the other running back, had a touchdown last week. Kyron Williams had 2. Keep going down the list here. Travis Etienne had 1. Let's see who else had touchdowns here. That's it. But I think it's a really good spot here. If they get inside the red zone, they get close to the end zone, Algier has a very good chance to get some touches. For plus 213, the value is certainly there. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. Make sure to comment Al-Jair or Tyler Al-Jair or Tyler down below in the comment section for your chance to win a free $25 Amazon gift card if he goes ahead and cashes that player prop. Until next week, hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Sunday. Let's go ahead, baby, and keep winning that damn money. Let's go.